Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Cool Down Lap presented by Midwest Motorsports. I'm Anthony Castor, driver of V8, and I'm joined here tonight with James Johnson, the voice of Midwest Motorsports, and Justin Thaler, driver of the 2 in the Road, Truck, and Cup Series. We have a special guest waiting with us, but we'll introduce him here in a little bit. So, uh, James, Justin, we're going to go ahead and hop into This Week in Motorsports so we can get through our content here, and we'll bring our guest on. So, James, go ahead with your This Week, man.
Oh man, there's so much great racing going on this weekend. It's hard to narrow it down to just one or two. I had a really good time watching the IndyCar race at Portland. I'll save the NASCAR stuff for you oval guys that are a little bit more into oval than I am. But yeah, Portland, pretty small track up in Oregon, tight and twisty, just over a minute lap times. But the Indy cars put on a great show, really tight chicane. Will Power brought it home for all you Penske fans. Good for him. He's been overdue for a win, but I think he extends his points lead a little bit. Um, but yeah, it was a great race. Justin, did you get to catch any of the IndyCar race?
I watched a little bit of it. Pretty much the point where Grosjean did what Grosjean does. I kind of tuned in and out there for a while, but that just looked like an awesome track. Um, I'd really like to see that maybe come to our sim platform of choice in the near future.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not in iRacing yet, but hopefully they'll scan it. And I was wrong about the points lead. Alex Palou, forgot about him. He does have a pretty big points lead, but Will Power made inroads on it. But yeah, Roman Grosjean needs to hang up his driver steering wheel, I think. He spun out in the really tight chicane and then did a snap turn and rejoined the track right on the apex of turn one, a blind chicane, and took out somebody, then blamed him for it on the radio. So typical Roman Grosjean stuff, but it was a really good race. I do like the track, and it's long overdue to be in iRacing. The Michelin GT series, IMSA GT only weekend at VIR was incredible. If you didn't get a chance to see the Michelin pilot race, the TCR touring car class came down to the last 10 or 12 laps. They had a late race caution, and they went door to door for the last 10 minutes, and it was awesome.
I don't want to interrupt, but I guess one thing that I didn't realize that I caught maybe was an interesting rule was sort of like F1, the IndyCar has to run both compounds, and I didn't know that if in order to meet that requirement, it has to be a sticker set. Because
Yeah,
I was catching some guys that were on a set of scrubbed. I forget if is the red the alternate tire in
yeah,
Indy.
yeah.
So
Red.
like they were talking guys being on the alternate, and one of the other announcers was like, "Well, that's a scrub set, so he has not yet the fulfillment of the rule stating." And then he kind of explained how to meet that you have to run sticker sets. I thought
Yeah,
that was kind of a cool rule.
yeah. The organizers came up with that rule because they were using all of their reds in qualifying, and then they would just run scrub reds in the race, and that's not always the optimal tire. It may be the fastest tire, but it really wears off, and that may not fit the right pit strategy. So the
Hmm.
organizers said you have to save at least one set of stickers for the race, and so that's why we make you run a set of stickers in the race.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Justin, you got anything you'd like to go over, man?
No, it was just if anybody was able to catch Sunday's um, Formula One race. Um, Turned out to be a pretty good one. Qualifying, Lando took the pole, and Max um, started second. But notoriously, when Lando's on pole, he's usually not leading. For the opening lap. But um, it looked like Max and Lando got an even start off of the line. I don't know if Lando just had a little bit of wheel spin, which he just lost the traction in the drive into turn one, but Max cleared him into turn one and led a couple laps, and then Lando got around him not long after, and he set cruise control on, and he was gone. So I think this is the first time. It's been a couple years now that anybody but Max, I believe, or since Lewis beat him or something. I forget the statistic off my head, but first time since anybody's won by over 20 seconds. And Lando brought home P1 by like 22.3 or something around there. So McLaren just had a really dominant race. It was pretty cool to see a lot of the field, and it looked like the passing opportunities weren't there, but it was a good race. Pretty decent shake-up. So um, outside of that, nothing really besides watching NASCAR from the night before.
Yeah, they're really putting down a bunch of what if scenarios for Lando catching Max and them making that close, or if not surpassing Max in the drivers' championship there. The constructors' championship looks a heck of a lot closer, but
Oh yeah.
71 point gap, I believe, or something like 70 point gap.
Yeah, it's closing. I mean, it's been many weeks now that Red Bulls basically only have 1 point scoring par. I believe Perez was able to finish eighth on Sunday, so he did bring home a couple points, which certainly helps their cause. But McLaren's been very very consistent when both their cars usually finish the race. They're scoring very good points, so
They're
it's going to be
40.
interesting.
Sorry, Justin. They're 40 points apart right now in the constructors, and with 25 points for a win.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they'll be getting past here shortly.
Well, it depends on how they finish. So really, 25 for first, I think it's 18 for second. So that's 7 points
Yeah.
between first and second. So it's mathematically possible. We're really just at the halfway point with the break. This was the first week after the summer break. They take 4 weeks off. So, yeah, I'd say we're about halfway through the season, right?
Yeah, just about. Yep. So a lot of street circuits coming up and things like that, where Red Bull hasn't been particularly strong at. We got Monza coming up. Ferrari could very well easily take that one up. That's their home track, and there's a lot of pressure on that team for a win at the least, and a double podium for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see the low downforce setups. I know the last couple have been the high downforce setup between Hungary and Zandvoort. So Italy, Monza is long straightaways in the chicane, a long straightaway chicane, long straightaway, one turn, long straightaway. So, yeah, the low downforce setup. We'll see what the upgrades pay off for McLaren, like they have in the high downforce setups.
Oh yeah.
So real quick, what's this I'm seeing about Gene Haas not paying this bill for a sponsor or something? Is he running out of money?
That goes back years ago when Nikita Mazepin was there, and the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict, was
Okay.
the hot topic. So they let go of Mazepin, and
Yep.
they heavily funded that team, as any team strapped for money. We'll go down any avenue to acquire financials. So they're saying basically they're suing them for that and everything else. So who knows what's going to play out with that?
Yeah.
I haven't followed too much aside from the snippet when that was announced, and that was it.
Yeah. So I'll wrap up this weekend in motorsports with the Daytona race. It was a interesting weekend for racing. In the truck, Xfinity, and Cup. Xfinity and Cup being down in Daytona, truck out Milwaukee Mile. Lane Riggs with his first win, career win. I think he was 17 races in maybe on his career. Coming from the car store, quite an accomplishment. I can't quite recall who won the Xfinity race. I believe it finished under caution. Oh, Ryan Truex finished under caution. That was another late one. I'm surprised that guy doesn't have a full-time ride. And then Cup Series. So, a Cup Series race, your guys' thoughts on that? Was it a good race? Did you guys enjoy watching it? James, what was your thoughts? Was it good?
Oh, I loved it, man. It's just unfortunate that they have to end with so many. They have to have so many wrecks. But everybody's trying so hard. It just seems like one. It's so hard to line up the bump draft, and if you can't see two cars in front of you, you push a guy who is just offset just a little bit, and it sends somebody sideways in front of the field. But it makes for incredible racing. It was definitely a spectacle, and being the broadcaster, it was great to have Lee Diffie in the booth. I think his voice just he gets excited. I can't help but get excited when I hear him go, and heard him some of the Olympics, and yeah, I'm a big Lee Diffie fan. But about the racing, um, yeah, it's awesome. It gets my blood flowing.
Yeah. Justin, what'd you think?
I mean, I thought it was definitely entertaining. I thought it was. I mean, I'm with James. Like the wrecking kind of gets old, but I guess when it's Daytona and you're that far into the season and everybody's fighting for a spot at the postseason, whether you're going to have a car that's competitive or not, right?
Mhm.
You know, you can hang your hat on the fact that you made it, and half the field didn't. So I thought it was a pretty decent race. The 2 wide action in the Cup race was awesome. It wasn't everybody file in line and pace around for until the stage end. So I thought they were kind of going at it, and everybody wanted a piece of something there. So, and it was cool to see the Woods brothers get their win. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not a Harrison fan by any means, but I think it was great for the sport and great for the team in general.
Yeah, I was actually just getting ready to make a point. I heard it on one of the podcasts. If you were not familiar with the sport, say you're coming from a different motorsport and you turned on the NASCAR race in Daytona, I would love to see somebody's reaction to those cars going 3 wide through turns 1, 2, 3, 4. Just sticking together, that tight, close pack racing, and just see what somebody would think of that. Where you have a different motorsport where cars get strung out and the leader can go on a 20-second, parade lap, and just to see that kind of tight racing, it'd be cool to see through somebody else's eyes. But it was cool to see Harrison Burton win. Not gonna lie, I was pulling a little for Kyle Busch there at the end, just because he's had one hell of a year of up and down, just trying. But I mean, it's good to see Harrison Burton get it, especially since he lost his ride. Hopefully, it gives him a shot somewhere, whether it's in Xfinity or back in Cup, that he can win a race. And the fact he got into the playoffs, I mean, that's the rules are the rules. They made it this way to put that kind of like Austin Dillon's in that situation. I mean, you're going to get those people that want to be up front and want to win, or have to win to even make themselves relevant in the playoffs. And I mean, he made his way up there and he got in there just more gracefully than Austin Dillon. So
Yeah, he didn't have to take anybody out to get there, but he's also 130 points behind the cut line, so he had to be there in order to get it. So all those wrecks in front of him had to happen for him to have a shot. And then I think it was the 62, right, that pushed him,
yeah,
which happened
yep,
to be, on the RCR stable kind of, right?
Powered by RCR.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Going back to that real quick thing you threw out there, him being so far down points, I believe he was the last place full-time driver in the standings.
not no
He
more.
was, yeah. I heard that stat this morning, and I was like, wow, that is going from last to first. So good for him. I mean, again, it was good to see Jeff Burton throw that fist bump in the air live, and just it is exciting. So on to Darlington, we'll see how they do at the Southern 500, and see who comes out of this thing in the chase. So, you guys good on this week in motorsports?
I just want to touch real quickly on
Good.
the bad wrecks that happened. I just want to
Yeah, good.
mention how safe the cars are, because there was some pretty bad wreck that Mayor went through and hitting the safer barrier upside down. I don't think the safer barriers were designed or the cars were designed for that direct impact, but the integrity of the roof, all the work that they've done on it has definitely paid off, and I'm glad to see it.
Oh yeah, that shot Barry took. Yeah, I was cringing as he was sliding
Very.
across that apron all the way to that wall. When he hit, I tensed up. Like it was bad, but he said it wasn't any worse than any other shot, so that's good to hear. Glad to hear it. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into our guest segment this week. So if you guys have seen the announcement in the Discord chat, or if you have seen the live notification from the Twitch, you should see that we have a guest with us tonight, and it is none other than Chris Taylor, driver of the 7 Cup car. Chris, you have to excuse me, but you don't participate in our road series, correct? You are just Cup right now?
Yeah, I'm just Cup. Hi, how's everybody doing?
We're doing good here, man.
Good.
Well,
Yeah.
we're happy to have you on here. Long time member, first time
Thanks.
caller. How 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 long have you been with the Midwest Motorsport Series here?
I think it's going on a couple years now.
Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah.
And what I guess where did your sim racing start? Was it with iRacing, or does this go back a ways?
Well, long time ago, back in the 90s, I had the old Thrustmaster on my computer where you had to put the CD in and run the game. And there was a guy at work that had one, and we would kind of compete against each other for a little bit. And it was a little fun, and then it kind of went away. I was having trouble with it, and I kind of put it in a box and put it away. And then Eric and Justin got started in sim racing, and I went down to Eric's and sat sat in his rig and got hooked. And between the two of them, Justin and Eric, they got me into this thing.
Yeah. So I'd imagine there was a little bit of a break between you messing around on your computer back in the day versus getting on Eric's sim rig,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. It was quite a while, but I've actually, well, Justin and Eric have driven stock cars down to Nashville
Mm-hmm.
with the Rusty Wallace, and then before that, I drove at Bristol in a stock car with the Richard Petty experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that really opens your eyes.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. So going with that large gap, and I know you've done the like you were just saying, you've done the racing experiences and stuff, getting in the stock car. What was your general feeling when you sat down in Eric's rig, which I've been in that thing. I know it's pretty dang close
Yeah,
to get you into the real thing. How was that feeling the first time you sat in that thing?
it was wow. I mean, I just could not believe how realistic it is.
Yeah.
Um, there's a couple guys I got them to talked into getting some rigs, and just told them how how realistic it is, and it's not a game; it's a simulator.
Yeah, and I know you said hanging out and everything. You said you had some friends that you've been talking with, getting them into iRacing and having them try and do some of the sim racing themselves. I know you brought Norman to the league. Are there any other? Yeah, are there any other ones that you've kind of pushed into iRacing and have been like, hey, hop in, do some laps, and then eventually you guys can hop into this league? Do you have a couple people you're trying to get in?
Yeah, I got uh, uh, Craig Nagy was the first one, and I mean he's still learning. Uh, he coming. He's getting there. He's getting there. He just needs to spend a little more time. Another one, Brian Lewis. Uh, he's he's he was in the league. He's out, but he just bought a new rig and is really gonna get concentrate on honing his craft.
Good, good. So since you hopped into sim racing and everything, is there a vehicle on the service that you prefer to drive, or a certain discipline that you prefer to drive?
Well, tell you tell you the truth, I'm not a big fan of this next gen car. Even in NASCAR, I'm not a fan of it. Um, I'm old school, and it's not a stock car. A lot of these guys, they took the building of the car away from the owners. A lot of these drivers today, they don't know how to build a car. You take guys like Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Alan Kowicki, even Dale Earnhardt Sr. Those guys built cars. They knew what they were talking about. Today, all the parts come from NASCAR. That's just not a true NASCAR. In sim racing, I like to drive. Actually, I love to drive the uh, open wheel modifieds. They're a blast. The legend cars are a lot of fun. Um, I enjoyed I enjoy the Xfinity cars.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. The Xfinity cars they take some discipline to get around the track with that loose rear end.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And I think it helps to drive that car, be able to drive that car. It helps you drive some other car.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So what does Chris do for a living? Let's get to know you a little here, Chris. What do you do in your spare time, man?
Well, I work in Pittsburgh.
Hmm?
I'm an aircraft mechanic for American Airlines,
Okay.
so that keeps me busy.
Yeah, so you're probably working uh some crazy hours there, putting in time and just
Yeah,
making sure his planes are going.
yeah, I work daylight now. I work 6:30 to 3. I used to work midnights, and I've had enough of that. Let the young guys work in the midnights.
There you go. Aside from sim racing, is there anything you like to do in your free time? Do you like to go fishing? You like working on projects or anything like that?
I used to do a lot of fishing. I'm gonna hopefully take Norm's advice and retire here one down the road. So when I do that, I'll probably start fishing again.
Well, there you go. So I'm going to bring the other guys in here and see if they have anything they'd like to, I guess, talk to you about, or I guess get you talking about, so people in the league know you a little bit better here. But Justin, James, either of you two got anything you'd like to talk to Chris about here?
James, I'll let you go first.
All right, no worries. Thank you. Well, Chris, first of all, it's a great pleasure to have you on the podcast. It's really good to get to know you. I've seen your name around, and I always recognize your last name, obviously, so know where you fit in. But in one of the um, salute a veteran patriotic races, you mentioned that uh, your dad, Richard, was a sergeant in the Marine Corps and probably instilled the discipline in you, and therefore the discipline went on to your sons. And I'm really surprised they didn't get your advice or ask you first before they created the league. Like, um, did they talk you into talk to you about building the league before they did it, or was it something they kind of did on their own and you found out later?
Well, my dad was a pretty good influence on them. I tried to push them onto my dad as much as I could. Um, Growing up, he was strict, he was stern, but he was fair. And he I was actually more afraid of my mother than I was my father, even though he was a Marine. But eh, they they listened to my dad and listened to him talk. And in his business, he had to listen and know how to talk to people. And the boys listen to him. They listen to him, so they know how to operate.
Yeah, I think that comes through in the way that they've handled themselves, or they deal with conflict in the league when there is any. There's not often much in the league, but again, that's a tribute to the way they've laid it out. But yeah, I just want to commend you on that, and
Well, thank you.
yeah, and great job in the league, man. I'm looking at some of your stats here. All right, so
Don't look too hard, James.
yeah, your first race, October 2nd, 21, Daytona Oval, an Xfinity Ford Mustang. But overall, 166 races over the years since October 2021. So coming up on a 3-year anniversary, man. And I'm looking for some wins here.
Uh,
I guess I'll have to keep looking. But a
yeah, we're
couple
still
polls,
looking.
and it looks like you had a lot of fun in 166 races. And like I say, you always just handle yourself well on the track, and respectful, hard but clean, fair racing. And you let it doesn't seem that winning at all costs is your driving style.
No, I kind of go on the Mark Martin theory. You're faster than me, go at it. But when I come up behind you and I'm faster, just give me the common courtesy to let me by.
Yeah, it's awesome. Um, cool, man. And any arguments at the Thanksgiving dinner table? I know you guys have to get together every now and then for family get-togethers, whether it's around the holiday seasons or wherever. Have you ever had to step between the boys and separate them and tell them to go to their rooms for a minute till they cool down?
Not while racing, not while racing. But a few seasons ago, I thought it was going to be a little oblique for me for Thanksgiving. We were at Watkins Glen, and I we took off from the green flag and come down to turn one, and the car wheel hopped on me, and I slammed right into the back of Eric. And we were supposed to go down to his house for Thanksgiving, and I thought I was going to wind up out on the front porch.
They
But
still let you in and they still fed you, huh?
oh yeah, he did. He did.
Right on.
He did.
So it's you talking with James there had me thinking. So if you could run the league, and don't hold back on this one, I- if you could run the league for a day, say we gave you the commish, and you set the rules for day one, you set the car we ran and everything. Would you change anything? Would you change what kind of car you run in Cup? Would you change times? Would you change just? Is there anything you'd change?
One thing, I mean, you guys know by talking to me, I would definitely bring back the Xfinity car, and I would probably get rid of the Cup car.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
just.
Friday night I'd be starting the truck race a lot earlier so I could do it because I get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Um. Well, it's good to know. I mean, that there's other people that enjoy that Xfinity car. I mean, even going back to the last gen Cup car, I felt like that one took a little more uh reservations in the corner to drive.
Y- Yeah, that first one would have been nice if we could have stuck with that. This new car, even I mean, you watch on TV how rough that car is on the track, and I've noticed even in driving the simulator, it's a rough car.
Yeah, you're just talking about that bump coming out of the Charlotte pits.
Yeah, I've forgotten that one.
See, that's the problem though. You forget it, but every time we go back there, one of us finds it.
Yep, yep. Yep, that's a bad one.
Justin, what do you got, bud?
First of all, if anybody doesn't know or realize, Chris is Eric and I's father. Um, I I I presume that I know you quite well. I don't really need to ask you many questions. However, I do have one question for you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't have it.
He doesn't have a favorite.
I don't have it.
Oh, I don't care about that. how, how come you couldn't, growing up, we had some fun. We had the go-kart and the four-wheeler and everything, but how come you couldn't dig deeper into those pockets and get us a real race car?
I didn't have the room.
Oh, okay. That's a hell of an excuse.
Trust me.
Uh,
If I had the room, we would have had one. We would have had one. You might
We
have
haven't
been
seen
going.
you
You might
drive,
have been going.
Justin.
You might have been going to 2 different houses for Christmas, but I'd have had one.
I think
double
he
the
did
price.
you a favor, Justin, by the way I've seen you drive. He did you a
Oh,
favor.
well, I mean, I heard Christmas and I thought double the presents, but that's okay. What is your goal? I guess prior to this season and/or going into the next season, what are your goals in the Oval Series?
Well, every season I like to try to get better. Um, I mean, to finish in the top 15 was the first goal, and then the top 10. Next year, I'd like to finish in at least the top 8 next
Are
season.
you do you have your eyes set on beating Norm at all?
Well, if I'm looking at the standings right now, and I'm beating it pretty good. I'm beating it pretty good.
That's
It's
good.
it's good to beat Norm.
Well, I mean, you've had some really good runs. I know that I think we've all been happy to see when you've been able to tie together a good finish. I'm just wondering when the even better finishes will come. Because all we hear about is the fact that you're just down there practicing all the time. Um, so I've heard quite the laundry list of things that you should be doing, but I appreciate your dedication to participating and supporting Midwest Motorsports.
Well, it's you guys have done a good job, and I, I'm proud. I'm proud of both you and your brother, both of you. I mean, you've taken something and really turned it into something big because it is just growing and growing. And I know one thing: if your grandfather was here, he'd be real proud of you. You guys are doing a super job, all
Well,
of you. Everybody
well,
is.
yeah, thank you. Um, it's fun to listen to. Sometimes it can be a little distracting because and everybody's guilty of it, but it's difficult to to sometimes focus when you're trying to nail a corner, hit the apex, carry enough speed, and then you and Norm are just giggling like two little schoolgirls in the chat. But as long as you're having fun, I know we're having fun, and it's cool that not only we can share the experience, but there's also multiple other members here, brothers or father and son that get to hang out and share a hobby together and have some fun on Fridays, Sundays, and Tuesday nights.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and I know Norm's having a lot of fun doing it because he'll text me during the day and he'll be practicing, and and I'll have to go home and I got to practice because I know I gotta get better than him. But
Good.
So,
when I retire, I'll probably have a little. I'll start getting better because I have more time like he does.
yeah, there you go. So, here in the near future, we're going to have Norm on the podcast also. So, do you have anything you'd like to say to preempt him in a way?
I don't want to embarrass him too much. I I I used to do that a long time ago.
Oh, there you go. Um, well, I think that's all I have, gentlemen. Unless you guys have anything else you'd like to bring up with Chris.
Yeah, stop parking on the apex, the road courses. All right.
Yeah,
I'll,
yeah. What the
I'll,
hell you
Um,
talked about ass packing Eric last season, and then you hold me up at Sonoma. What, you just have to even it out between the two of us, or what?
I'm taking a provisional next time we go to Sonoma. I hate that place. I hate
Don't
that
do it.
place.
Don't do it. Practice.
Oh God.
No, we're glad you're here, Chris. It really brings a lot to the league to have you around, and it's fun to talk about the godfather of Midwest Motorsports, Eric, and the grandfather of Midwest Motorsports, Chris Taylor.
Well, I really appreciate you guys, and like I said, it's not an easy job, and you guys are really, I mean, for giving up your free time and doing this, and it's just a good thing. It really is, and everybody's doing a really good job.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Chris, thanks for coming on. We're
Yeah,
going to
Chris.
go ahead and move on to the next section. So I'll move you up on out of here real quick.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So we're going to wrap up that guest section. That was a good talk. Good to talk to Chris. He's always nice to have in the chat, especially him and Norm. There's normally something going on the track with some kind of shenanigans somewhere on the track. So, you guys ready to roll into the road series? I know you guys had an off week, so we'll go ahead and cover Barcelona since we couldn't do that last week.
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right.
Barcelona was absolutely incredible. It was the first endurance race of the season, so we went for 100 minutes, which in real time is 1 hour and 40 minutes, which seems like a long time to be in the rig concentrating, not to mention practice and qualifying ahead of time. So I do want to get Justin's opinion on if it's, is it more difficult to have a 2.5, 3 hour, or if you do any practice before the race, getting warmed up or getting situated, making sure all the controls are right and your settings are right and coming up with your game plan. Justin, does it seem like a grind to be in the rig for 2.5, 3 hours?
For me personally, no, not really. I think I'm pretty well conditioned just due to the fact that me and others do run some pretty long stints in the iRacing um, uh, special events like the Daytona 24 and things in Sebring and stuff. So for me, no. But yeah, I mean, you've got a couple minutes, at the end of qualifying if you need to get up and stretch your legs or get a fresh glass of water or whatever.
Yeah, your beer.
But it's I mean, that's kind of why we do it, right? Like I think it really shakes things up because you will get those rare mistakes. Maybe if somebody just loses their concentration or something. Maybe 45 minutes or closer towards the hour mark of what our traditional regular races are. But I think the hardest thing is just trying to figure out, I guess, what your strategy wants to be, because it will end up being a two-stop race.
Yeah.
So like if you want to short pit the first stop or run it empty, take less, and if you want to take tires, what tires you want to take. So I think there's more, I guess, preparation going into the race than being settled in on racing for that extra amount of time. Um, but it seems to be a good hit. I think guys like it. In the past seasons we've tried, and I'm okay either way. But in the past seasons, we've done sprint race weeks where we have like a 20-minute sprint followed by our regular hour long format, I guess. So either way, it's pretty close to, I guess, what that night would have been like, because it's after the sprint race was pretty much instantaneously going into the feature. But I think it's fun and enjoyable, and it's an even more challenge to the drivers to make sure they don't have that lapse of focus, and
Right.
and hopefully it helps condition some people, and there's still guys that their pace and their overall speed is just still insanely fast for an hour and 40 minutes. I'm not one of them. I wish I was, but my pace usually starts to trail off. Anyways, but I hope it's enjoyable, and I hope our viewers and hopefully you can stay
Yeah,
long winded enough for an extra
it's
40 minutes.
it's a test for me too. There's no question, and I love it. I think 3, maybe 4 is the right number for the season. This season, we're going to Long Beach for an endurance as well as Sebring for an endurance. But
Yeah.
I was 16 race season to only have 3 of them. I think is a really good number, and I think it's a great idea to make sure that you get feedback from the participants and the polls, the mid-season polls, and the end of the season polls. To do it. So I think it's a great just to mix it up and just keep it fresh, keep you on your toes and not get stale with the routine where it feels like a grind. Where if you have something different thrown in every now and then, whether it's weather or an endurance race or weather and an endurance race, I don't know, but yeah, it's been exciting. Well, back to Barcelona. Um, it's a really awesome track. It's hosted, all different sports, all different um, motorsports series go there. So hopefully it's a circuit that guys were familiar with. But hour and 40 minutes. It was a great race. Brian Coxon, Jason Phillips, and Chase Fincher knew this season was up in the mix. He started fourth. Jason Phillips started second in a new car for this season. We know Josh Bloom had a good start too, and Justin, you didn't start too bad either on the third row.
Mhm.
So really good. Again, two stopper. Um, the weather tire wear is crucial. The left front usually wears down faster than all the others. So I'm not sure if the strategy was to take tires and let that be your help you with your decision on when to pit. Or all strictly on fuel or race conditions. I think you had one small bobble, Justin, that kind of took you out of the running for the top 3.
Yeah, trying to remember what that was. That was a while ago, 2 weeks now, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's all good. Me too. Me too. I didn't take too many notes, but yeah, Brian Coxon, the Mr. Consistency himself, uh, won it. Kind of stretched out the lead after a little mishap by Jason Phillips, but Jason Phillips and Chase Fincher got second at the end of the race, and Jason Phillips was only 4 seconds behind him. After reeling him in, they were just doing lap after lap after lap, consistent laps, and it was crazy. Um, and then on the AM side, there were great races up and down the field, but once again on the AM side, um, gosh, I can't find him now.
The winner?
Cabiltes, yep. Ended up bringing it home on the AM division, and not the first time that he was up
Well,
front either. So,
It
well,
wasn't.
there was a penalty. Remember?
oh,
Do you
what did I
remember?
miss? No, tell me. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
now
you
it
go.
comes
It's
to
all
me.
coming
Okay,
back to
now
you.
it's all coming back. So, Cabiltes was on 14X as he took the white flag. And all he had to do was bring it home. I don't think he was racing with anybody. Gets an off track and has to come in to serve a drive through on the way to the checkered. And so he got demoted down to P2. Thanks for that reminder. That was pretty crazy. Has that ever happened to you, Justin?
Ah, yes, but not the fact where I gained or lost a win because I was already buried in the field. But
Oh,
yeah, it has. I mean, it's kind of gut wrenching. I mean, I've had an instance where you get a slowdown out of the last corner, and you just, maybe the whatever track the run to the line is so short, it's hard to just basically stop just to clear that. Um, but yes, I've had an experience of that.
yeah. Yeah, so that's just one, like we were talking about earlier, the one lapse in focus, around one corner or one off track is all it takes. And Nick Calguru gets his first Midwest Motorsports win. I do remember talking to him in the post race interview, and man, he was pretty excited. It sounds like it means a lot to him to get a first win after racing for a couple of seasons with us. And so I was kind of happy to see Nick Calguru get a win. Unfortunately, he had to win that way, but he definitely earned it. Being in the right place at the right time when the checkered flag comes out is what racing is all about. So shout out to Nick Calguru with the win in the AM division. Brian Coxon wins the pro. Chase Fincher and Jason Phillips, close battle for the for the podium. Justin P5, Jesse Coffey 6th, David Stark 7th. Travis Rowe, Walker McNulty 8th and 9th. Michael Odell was in the fight in the BMW this season for Michael Odell. He was really fast battling it with Brian Coxon and Jason Phillips up front, but then had an off in the bottom of the hill. I think it's turn 7 and 8 and 9 section, ended up in the sand for a second and couldn't get out. But yeah, that's how it ended, and I was on the edge of my seat. Thanks for reminding me, Justin. Yep, and it was a great race. This week, tomorrow night, we're going to Barber Motorsports Park for 1 hour, and anything can happen. I saw that there was a practice session put on by Jason earlier. I think there's another one going on right now. So guys are going to be ready for it. I hope you are, and I will see you tomorrow night at 7. It's about 7:30 for the start of the Barber Motorsports Park GT4 race.
In preparation for the Barber race, should we expect a safety car for any mannequins hitting the track?
Quite possibly.
I don't think iRacing is that up to date with their scan. But it would be kind of funny.
All the guy that owns the track, Mr. Barber, is eccentric to say the least, and he's got all this artwork scattered throughout the field. There's sculptures, big iron sculptures. Most notably, a spider turn. They call it Charlotte's Web, is one section of the track, and it might be a distraction for some of the drivers. So you never know.
If you don't know, Barber's it's a challenging track. Lots of elevation, blind corners. It's tricky in the GT4 with the lack of downforce in those cars. So, yeah, could be very, very interesting.
So, would you make any comparisons to Mid Ohio and Barber, or
yeah,
two separate animals?
I would say they have their fair amount of similarities. There's some longer straights in each of them, and just a lot of blind, uphill, downhill, high speed S's or tight chicanes. It's definitely, I guess, to get your opinion too, James, it's a real rhythm track.
Yeah.
You got to be really aware of, I guess, your markers and what you're using for brake and turn in points, and when to carry speed and be either on or off the throttle through some of those corners. So
it was really designed originally to be a motorcycle track. Mr. Barber was hoping that MotoGP would come there. They never did. They have too many other great options. But it's almost the elevation changes are crazy because a lot of times they're right at where the car gets really light and it comes over the crest of a hill, and then you have to wait for it to settle before turning. And sometimes those two come together right at the right time. Luckily for Justin, there's no sausages there, although there's one little chicane S's section where you have to eat all of the curves. And I don't know if you've had any time to practice, Justin, but I think it's like, turn 6, 7, and 8, little left, right, left before you go back on a long straight up the third straightaway.
The curbs there are just as they're just as bad as eating a sausage curb. So yeah, got some laps in tonight actually before the podcast, so I learned where not to really take too much advantage of the curbing, because they look flat, but they do have their transitions, I guess, on them. So
Yeah, they'll upset the car if you're not uh, delivering your inputs at just the right time with steering and throttle, braking.
For
So
sure.
yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm interested to see how everybody gets around the track myself. It's the first time it's been on the Midwest Motorsports schedule, and I'm glad to see it. I'm going there in a couple weeks for the GT4 Fanatec Challenge.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's a great track. I've been there several times. It's golf course. They call it like the Masters of Motorsports tracks, racing tracks, because it's a golf course, pristine everywhere.
Nice.
Awesome.
Don't
All
miss
right,
it.
guys. Yeah, don't miss it. It's on tomorrow. 7:30, I believe you guys take the green flag, right?
Yeah, 7:25 is the start time. They'll grid up.
All right, you guys can catch it here on the Rivenvale Twitch. So be on the lookout for those notifications. We're going to go ahead and slide over to our Oval series that occurred over the weekend just to kind of wrap things up here. So, trucks. Truck series is out in Watkins Glen over the weekend. I got to watch the stream on that one.
How do we do?
Looks you guys pretty good. It was you and was
McNulty,
McNulty is up in the booth with
Walkler.
you. Okay, yep. No, you guys did pretty good. It was good calls there. Some pretty cool camera angles, like going down into turn one, catching all the cars coming down through there. The bus stop camera was pretty cool. Getting a good shot of people just grazing that barrier there going into the bus stop. So good job, broadcast team. Camera work, the talking, everything worked out just well. Racing, I was interested in ultimately going into it. I was interested in seeing how the competition caution worked out, if there's any hiccups or anything. And ended up watching the whole race. Ty ran away with it after that comp caution. It looks like just I don't know if the pit strategy he was able to make up that much time. Just I guess pitting off of the other guys. I don't know where that gap came from, but dang man, he put a
He's
gap on
just
it.
fast. He's just
Yeah.
fast and consistent in the trucks. He's the class of the field. Definitely started on the pole, and Eric and Justin tried to pull a fast one at the comp caution there, and it actually worked. They kind of beat everybody to the punch and came in right at the comp caution lap, so that everybody that stayed out, I think there were 4 trucks that stayed out, um, and then they all came in after the fact. So Eric and JT restarted up front. Isn't that right, Eric? Justin?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
You guys,
Yep.
I think he restarted like what, second and third or third and fourth? Because I think Ty stayed out.
I stayed out the whole time. That's right.
Yeah. And I can't remember if there was another driver who stayed out, but I know you were able to make up time because I remember Walker questioning it at first, like, well, they're going to be about 6th or 7th place, and then you see 4 trucks peel off, and okay, it makes sense now.
Yeah,
So
the guys that stayed out actually at the lap, but then they realized that, oh, shoot, they should have come in. Maybe they thought the pits were closed until the caution. So, but they came in on the caution lap and reset in the back. But Ty did it in a one stopper.
yeah, yep, I seen he pulled the one stop and was able to. Well, so since we made the change to 75% fuel on the trucks were able to go longer in the stints, and he was able to pull off a one stopper versus multiple stops in the race. Overall, it was a pretty fun race to watch. Justin, how was it driving it, man?
It was great. Besides the I guess functional issues I have with my rig. So, I mean, honestly, like I'm not crazy. The trucks are difficult. A lot of wheel spin to them, wheel hop. You know, as you're coming into a braking zone, if you're not smooth with your where you're downshifting and how much brake you're adding. But it was a road course, so it was fun nonetheless. I did have issues with my shifter for some reason. It was acting up. I mean, I use mine in H pattern, when I'm driving the truck, and some reason I was just it was always at the worst opportunity. I'd be in gear, and say I'm coming to the carousel, so like I'm exiting the bus stop on throttle, and then I come out of the throttle, and um, basically it was like the cart was just getting thrown into neutral. So kind of really acting up. So I'd have to clutch and try and throw it back into gear. And seems like every time I was either making some ground on Eric ahead of me, or maybe trying to pull away from whoever was behind me is when it would happen. Um, so I spent the rest of the night tearing it apart and just cleaning it and looking over it, and everything seemed all right. But it was just really weird that I put in probably 40 minutes of practice, before the race started, and never happened once. So it was an interesting issue, I guess.
Yeah, you find that in real life too. You run those vehicles and all the way up to race day, and then something's wrong with the steering. You gotta change out a steering component. So
Yeah.
it's I mean, you'll have those things, but that kind of explains one of the corner. I think you were coming out of the carousel, and the broadcast was thinking you got a slowdown, but your shifter probably wasn't working. So that explains a lot.
Yeah, and the pretty early in the race, I was I was running, and I was like, something just doesn't feel right. Like I feel like I'm reaching for my pedals, and I didn't have my seat all the way, I guess, where my marks are on my rig. So I tried to move it probably in the worst spot on the track, and that's when I blew way past my braking zone, and I just pushed the clutch in, and that's when I went off track and lost a bunch of spots before the comp caution. But I was able to claw back enough, I guess. So it all worked
Yeah.
out.
So Ty Williams was class of the field. Led 33 laps. Had the fastest lap of the race with a 1:12.8. He brought it home in first. Eric there came in second, 16 seconds back. So again, I don't know if that was just part of that strategy where he was able to pit, throw those tires. If he took tires, throw tires on and make up that time while you guys are still out running your laps, or what. But he flipped the strategy good, and he's putting down some good laps. So Justin third, Nick came home fourth, and Dustin with a top 5. The points should be up on the stream right now for the truck series. Looks like Nick has the points lead. Dustin's 42 points back. Justin, you're about 58 points behind the leader, and Ty 64 back in fourth. Sean Happick 84 back in fifth. Coming into the final race here, Homestead, it looks like that championship's about wrapped up there with Nick. I can't see much that'll change that unless you guys get a pretty big field turnout. And Dustin's somehow able, well, I mean, he's good at running clean races, but runs a clean race, wins it, and Nick finishes dead last. So
Nick's been working hard this year, and he's done really well. He's got some good results, and he's definitely earned it. It's not there by a fluke.
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was checking out his stats before we came into this segment. He's running consistent this season, so
Right.
it's good to see.
He's a clean racer. He knows when he has to battle somebody, and if somebody's clearly maybe quicker, he knows that too. And he's just very respectful, very clean, and he's a class act.
Yep, that's what I look
3
for in the
wins.
league.
3 wins this season, I think. No, just 2 wins. 2 wins in a pole. Atlanta and Kentucky. But only a couple of bad finishes, Daytona and Chicagoland, outside the top 5, it looks like.
Yep, that's consistency.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Cup Series was also in Watkins Glen over the weekend. Justin, looks like he brought that one home, man. From my point of view, it was a pretty straightforward race. I mean, I didn't find much to get excited about in it. Just, hit your lap times, get into a rhythm, and go. James, from your eyes, what'd you see, man?
I thought it was an awesome race. I mean, there was a lot going on. Actually, the Justin Walker and who else was it? Ty was up there. I know.
Yeah.
Um,
Ty started on pole.
right.
Eric. Eric was running up there for quite some time.
Yeah, it was pretty packed start. I think you guys were able to kind of stick together. What, the top four was able to stick together up until the comp caution?
Yeah, I believe for the most part.
And then some more strategy in the comp caution.
I guess a little bit. I mean, I don't want to, I guess, talk about my race too much. I'm
I
not
think it
sure
was about
whatever.
tires. I think everybody stayed out on the same set of tires when they came into pit, and Justin was the only one to take tires at the stop after the comp caution, the final stop. And so, even though Justin's pit stop was about 7 or 8 seconds longer than everybody else's, it paid off in lap time. Now, I know in the post race interview, Justin said that there wasn't that big of a difference in tires, but I think that was what gave Justin the pace at the end. I mean, Justin, I know you're a fast regardless, but I definitely think the new tires helped you and hurt Walker because you ran him down from, like I say, about 8 seconds back in 12 laps, 15 laps at the end.
Yeah, it was hard though. Like I said, I know he pit a lap before me, and I knew he was going to be really tight on fuel. So I'm not sure. I guess at what point he started to fuel save, or when he realized he had to fuel save to make it to the end. But I was also in that situation as well. I know my fastest lap came in that last stint, but I mean, I really didn't have much to spare when I crossed the line. I don't know how far I would have made it back to, like, the racer. It's hard to focus. If you're my main objective, I guess, was to just have a clean race and a decent points finish. But when you're, I guess, put in a position where the win is in play, um, when it's within grasp, you want it.
Go
You don't
for it.
want to say, oh, well, I'll just finish second, right? And I guess it was just difficult, just because I knew the pace that I could have, and listening and looking at my lap times in the 13s to the high mid 13s. I'm like, well, I know I'm faster than that. So when I realized I did like a 12.3 or 12.2 or whatever it was, I was like, I can't, I got to back off and think big picture. I'm gaining on them every lap, and it's just going to be a matter of time. Hopefully you get there with enough laps where, you can kind of make a move or set yourself up where he might not, think that you're going to go for a move, but just trying to set myself up for that and then manage pace. And really, I was really managing pace for the whole race after that comp caution, because it was hard to stretch that many laps out of that tank and still, maintain, because he was close to me, that whole first stint. Um, before he got around me, when he pit early. So it was hard to manage that, I guess, when you just want to go for it, right?
Mm-hmm. I will agree there. That turned into a fuel mileage race, as I believe quite a few of our races have this season. I mean, I know your pace ultimately decided the outcome of the race, but fuel mileage was definitely on your mind. I know it was on mine there for about 10 laps. on whether I was going to have to dip in and make a third pit stop or not. There was some fuel saving involved. I'd be interested in knowing about how much Walker had to save when he started saving. Because he's running faster than me. We pitted on the same lap, and he's running faster than me, so I know he's burning just a little bit more than me.
And a lap on a road course is a lot different than a lap on an oval.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so just a lot of short shifting and maybe out of the S's before on that straightaway before the bus stop, just kind of maybe 75% throttle and trying to, I guess, coast into the braking zone versus off throttle on the brake as quick. So it was just it's hard to manage that when you just wanted to run away and just get the race over with, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, especially.
you got past Eric there at the end, Eric.
Oh, yeah. I feel. I kind of felt bad for Eric. He was having a great race, executing everything, and then on the last set of green flag pit stops, he came down to pit, and I don't know if it was on entrance or exit, got caught with a speeding.
Stop plus 15.
Oh, yeah, it felt like forever for him to be on the on pit road, because I know he said he was going on to it, and I passed him, and I was like, he still ain't coming off, and then finally he's coming off pit road. I was like, dang, he's got some time to make up, but he was moving. I think he got back to within 6 seconds of me for a position, so I mean,
yeah, I'm with you. I was upset for him just for had a great race, and I think he really wanted to just take the bad luck off, but rules are rules.
yep. So if anybody is looking at the Twitch chat, we got a message from Mr. Walker in there. They had to save almost 2 laps of fuel in 10 laps, almost 2 laps of fuel in 10 laps.
Yeah,
the last 10 laps.
That's a killer right there.
Oh yeah, you're easily putting on a second or two in pace. You're tacking that back on there. So.
And every time I put the camera on Walker, he was having some sort of lockup into turn one. Just about, I think he locked it up almost every time he went into turn one, at least in the second stint.
I think a lot of us oval drivers can be thankful that iRacing does not have a legit tire model where we're flat spotting those things. Because I would have been getting a lot of feedback through my freaking wheel. Yeah.
Square tires.
Yeah, my wheel would have been shaken to death.
Well, regardless, I think it was fun. There was, hopefully it's not an easy track to really pass on. That layout at least. Short lap times, and so you really got to set it up. But hopefully, I guess through the field, it looked like there was some good passes and stuff and battles for position, James.
Yeah, it was incredible. I think the 64 Brandon Thayer was pretty fast too. He never really put anything in position to try to make a pass or an attempt, but he was not. Y'all just weren't pulling away from him. He was right there for a while.
Yeah, he's always been one of the quicker drivers as well on the road courses. I know. I think he had a really good showing at Sonoma, if my memory serves correct as well.
Absolutely, you did. Yep.
The Watkins Glen is a classic track of give and take, especially with the bus stop and down in turn one. I mean, yeah, you can send it too wide into that, and it's probably not going to end up the best. I know there was an instance in the race. I don't know if the stream caught it or not, where me and Ty were heading down into the bus stop, and I gave him out towards the wall, and I got on the brake, and I started staying the brake because I didn't want to go in there too wide. And I think he had the same idea, and I think he started shading his brake, and we went through it too wide. I did get a chance to apologize to the guy because I think I ended up sending it wide because I was a little surprised that he also stayed the brake. Normally in an oval race, Ty's a good driver and he's fast, and if he thinks he can make a pass, he'll put it in there and send it. And I was expecting him to send it through the bus stop, so I was, like I said, shading the brake, hoping he'd go. And I think he just got the same idea, well, I'll let him go and get him somewhere else. And Yeah.
We did catch
So,
it, and it was awesome.
yeah. So Ty, if you're listening, that's my bad. I think we both got the same idea there to let the other one by, and it got caught in the mail. So.
Hey, I got past Walker to the bus stop, so it can be done.
Oh man, it's not an ideal place to pass for sure.
It's not. It's definitely not. Not in
Yeah.
those cars for sure. Not in those cars.
I know. Coming up through the S's, if you had a nice enough run, you could easily pull by them on that straight stretch to the bus stop. But it's good you guys made it through there unscathed. Didn't have any accidents.
Hey, I gotta ask while we're closing, I guess, the topic of walk-ins. Do you remember what you ran your steering ratio at? By chance?
I think it's
I'm
one
just
above what
curious.
the
Mine
one
was
above what the
14.5. 14.5 to 14.8 is what I was doing.
mine was just I think it's like the one option above what the suggested is.
Gotcha. Okay.
I can't quite remember the
Well,
numbers.
what was yours, Justin? You can't ask his without telling us yours.
It was round and it you could turn it 360 degrees.
Wow. Wow.
I tend to run tighter than the suggested. So that's probably right around where you were.
Well, that's lower on the suggestion board, isn't it? Like if you go through and you select them, you want to go on a the lower number, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. See, I was going up more towards top. I don't know what it is. I prefer turning that wheel more than what's necessary.
Yeah. Hey, that's what those things are there for. Personal
Exactly.
preference, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially on oval. I mean, I crank that thing almost all the way to the top. But so next week Cup Series is also going off to Homestead. Trucks and Cup at Homestead for the season finishers. Let's look at points here. It looks like Justin's heading into the finale with a 32-point cushion between him and Ty. Looks like Walker's there in third. That's a pretty good season there. 43 points behind the lead. He can hop Ty depending on what kind of day the two have. Trevor there in fourth, 78 points back. And then Eric in fifth, 92 back. I'm keeping an eye on that battle for fifth place there.
Yeah, you're only 4 points back from Eric there. Yeah.
Yep. And then Thayer, if he participates, he's only another, 7 points behind me. And then he's within 11 of Eric. So there's striking distance there for Thayer to hop 2 spots, depending on how the race goes. So
0x bonus will take you right up there.
Oh, yeah, it will. So overall, Oval Series is coming to an end. Next week we'll talk about it in more depth, but I'd like to go over some of the changes that we made throughout the season and just kind of get your guys' opinions on how the season played out. I mean, looking at the points now, I'd say the points worked out well because everything's tight.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll
Yeah,
be
and
a
I did
conversation.
for any of our members listening, head over to the announcements because about 30 minutes ago now I posted we were able to wrap up the voting for the mid-season polls. Apologize, it's been a minute, but I think the whole admin team's been pretty busy between personal life with work and being summer and everything else to really try and hone in and focus. But yeah, the mid-season link there for the results is posted in the announcements.
Oh, yeah. So we can expect everybody to take a look at that. I'm sure anybody has questions, we'll go ahead, post them up and ask. But go ahead, take a look at the mid-season poll results, and next week we'll break down the season, how we seen it out. Send out our congratulations to the championship winners and the Oval Series for the season. So, unless anybody else has anything tonight, either you two got anything?
Yeah, you should definitely check out the midseason poll results. There's a couple of pretty saucy slides in there.
We can
I'm
save
gonna
that
look
for
at
a later episode.
it. Yeah, for sure. I'll have to take a look at it and see what you guys put in there. But aside from that, we all good, guys?
Yeah,
I'm
I think
great.
so.
I'm
Just
great.
focusing on tomorrow night.
All right, gents.
Be
Well,
there, be square.
yeah.
Great job
You
to everybody and the racers. All the racers are doing a great job. It's been a lot of fun. There's not been a whole lot of conflict all season long, and I think that's a tribute to just everybody's participation level and realizing that we're here to have fun. And I think everybody's having as much fun as I am.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Ditto.
All right, guys. Well, you guys know where to catch all the racing action right here where you're listening to it. So we'll catch everybody next week. And in the meantime, have a good one.
Stay in your lane.